Hey YouTube, welcome back. This will actually be my second long format video that I've tried to tackle since I started my channel, and it's actually been about a full year now. I think probably about 4 or 5 days shy. And I remember last year when I started the channel, I think my goal for the end of the year was 100 subscribers, and we've hit about 350 at this point, and I have been blown away with the growing support. So I hope everybody's enjoyed all the video content I've been able to put out. I've mainly been doing shorts. I really want to do long format videos just so I can kind of pack more information into the videos. So what I decided to do was shorts, and then switch over to, after a long segment of shorts, I'm going to do a long format video kind of detailing what I did throughout the process, and that's what we're doing here. So more or less, if you guys seen all the shorts and you've seen the beginning of what I'm doing in this video, I'm breaking down my last few pieces for the cabinet carcasses. In my last long format video, we went through all the cabinet builds, the breakdown of the sheet goods. This video, I'm starting with just the last little bit of cabinet parts, being milled out and broken down. This video is mainly going to tackle face frames, spraying and finishing, and things of that nature. And I'm also going to show what's going to be coming up next on this channel as far as what the rest of this building takes, and 2 other really cool projects that I took on, and 1 really cool build that I've done since I started this process. But right now you see me going through all the pocket holing that I need to do to get this finished up. Then I'm going to go to my final assembly. One, again, good tip for pocket holes, especially with plywood, is that plywood is never the proper dimension that it's listed as. 3/4 inch plywood is never 3/4, ½ inch plywood is never ½ inch, etc. So set your depth on your drill bit slightly shallower, roughly like 1/8 of an inch or so. You want to back it off, I'll say probably about halfway in between the next knot. If it's 3/4, put it in between the 3/4 and ½ inch, and you will get a nice pocket hole. It's typically what I do. And then try it on the test piece, of course, before you actually do it on all of your actual pieces. But that's the methodology I typically go through, because you want to avoid your pocket holes blowing through your plywood, which never looks good. It's never fortunate. So you want to have a nice solid pocket to rest your screw in, but also make sure it gives good connection to your adjoining piece without damaging it. Those are the goals of using pocket holes anyway. But the methodology that I went through for putting all these cabinets together, like you saw in the previous video, pin nails, pocket holes, and glue. It works really well, and these are shop cabinets, and again, everything has something buttoned up to the side of it, so you don't really get to see any of the exposed fasteners, which is, again, the methodology behind my purpose for building it this way. And the glue gives it plenty of strength. Oh, this is actually a good part. I typically use this method to install cabinets when I already have 2 pantry cabinets, or kind of a run already set up, maybe like an over top of refrigerator, microwave cabinet, things like that is where I typically use this method. But you can either use a level and just clamp something up there, or you can actually take like a 1x or 2x and screw it to the top of your cabinet. I typically like to have the screws coming from the outside so there's no exposed holes on the inside. I like the level method just because I can clamp it on there. But essentially it lines up the top of your cabinet with your next cabinet, and as long as you're using an actual straight edge that's not going to flex or deflect, you get perfectly straight cabinets. Alright, and here we are. We're going into the face frame part where I'm just batching out all the pieces. I typically use 1x6s, maybe a 1x8, just so I can get multiple pieces. And since we're building cabinets and everything needs to be square, there's normally a top and bottom rail, so that's 2 pieces that need to be the same length. Your rails need to be the same length, etc. So I typically can actually cut a 1x6 to the proper length, and then I can go into the table saw and then rip everything. I get about 3 pieces. I typically aim for my face frames to be about 1.5 inches. Sometimes I cross over to the danger zone, and I go about 1 3/8 inches. Gets really tight trying to apply 2 screws once you get down to 1 3/8 inches. Until I get a correct forming, I'm probably going to stay away from that though, because it gets a little sketchy without like repetitive stops. You have to actually mark the centers on all your boards and then go into your pocket holing, which isn't a problem, but again, extra steps. After all my face frames are ripped and milled to the proper dimensions, the next step is, again, pocket holes. I like to assemble these with pocket holes and glue. The pocket holes should be plenty strong, but I love the glue just to make me feel better. Even though a lot of it is ingrained and ingrain butting to a primed or finished surface, the glue just makes me feel better. So pocket holes and glue, it's the best way I know to assemble face frames. You could go into like dowels, or if I had a domino, you could, but once you get into like the internal dividers, it just gets tricky and it's not worth it. So pocket holes there it is. After all the face frames are assembled, the next thing I like to do is actually make sure I have all the face frame pocket holes drilled onto the carcass. That way I can actually drill from the inside of the carcass and attach all the face frames. But you guys might have seen in one of the other videos how I mentioned I made a mistake. I didn't have the face frame material when I originally started this project, so I actually built all the carcasses, attached them to the wall versus attaching face frames to individual carcasses. And plus I didn't have the space to kind of just build a cabinet, carcass, face frame, set it somewhere. So I kind of was building and installing as I went through the process, which creates an interesting problem that I didn't really think about till the end. One, I put all of my pocket holes on the outside of my carcass because like, you'll never see them. They're buttoned up to other cabinets. But some of them, once they get attached to each other, you can no longer have access to those holes that you drilled. So I had to add some pocket holes to the inside of the cabinet, which less than ideal. But you know, again, plenty of cabinets have pocket holes on the inside. Cabinets that are on like the end of a run, they typically have pocket holes on the inside. So it's not world breaking, but it's not ideal. Proper planning. So I recommend personally doing your cabinets, face frames, and then installing. That way you can attach them, you know, kind of as a complete unit. What I end up doing though is after I had all my face frames built, sprayed, I end up since the cabinets are already installed, I end up attaching the face frames to the two side cabinets, and then for the face frame in the middle, I kind of just left that one kind of floating loose, and then I pre-drilled, clamped, screwed that one in, and then I screwed it to the carcass to make sure I got the face frames perfectly flush before I had everything cinched down to the carcass. It worked out pretty well. That's a lot of future details. Let me get back to where we are currently. Spraying. One thing I will say, I know a lot of people commenting on, again, my overall lacks of PPE. I recently finally started wearing hearing protection and eye protection. I definitely was not paying too much attention to the air quality that I'm taking in. This project and the truck itself actually has because the truck is so small, the amount of sawdust in the small area that the sawdust is spread in makes it a little more hazardous, and the amount of sawdust I produced on this build is more than I typically do. I typically take on small projects. The goal of the truck is to pretty much allow me to go trim out a house and do anything custom that I may need if I have a planer, etc. inside the truck. But the goal is for like, you know, 5 or 6 windows on a quick house, or trimming out a bathroom, and I don't have to pull anything out the truck. It's the goal of the truck. But I do plan to actually add a full dust collection system. Actually, I've teased before, I have a bunch of bins on the outside of the truck. I'm planning to actually house my vacuum in there, the dust separator, and then route the vacuum inside. And then I'm going to run power, you know, outlets throughout the whole entire truck. That way I can power the vacuum, and the power will come from plugging into a house. I'll set up I think it's 12 gauge. I'm not an electrician. The largest gauge setup that you can take from my house. That way, hopefully, ideally, I'll plug into like a 20 amp breaker inside the garage, power the whole truck that way. Then I have a series of outlets that I have power. I can put switches for the vacuum, dust collection, etc. I also plan to add an exhaust fan out the roof, and then use a Corsi Rosenthal type of setup. Typically just an exhaust fan with a filter. And because my truck is only 8x12, I believe a single filter with the power of the exhaust fan, I actually would do like 2 or 3 air changes a minute. So it'll be more than adequate for the truck. As far as not wearing respirators, I personally am young. I'm only 29, and I kind of found them completely uncomfortable. But again, the amount of sawdust that I produced throughout this build, I will say, has definitely changed my outlook on that. So doing nothing while waiting for a better solution is worse than making a small improvement, I guess. Well, not small improvement. Dust mask will actually solve the problem completely. It's just uncomfortable. And I have to bite the bullet because my health is important, and I appreciate everybody who's cared so far. I probably talked a lot about not the project throughout this build. I'm sorry, but you guys have seen the videos and heard me comment already, so I kind of just wanted to give a perspective. And now all this content going forward is what you guys have to look forward to. I appreciate everybody who stuck around for this long. I have the router table set up. I actually built some custom feather boards. You guys see the door builds, me using a cope and stick bit. I also take on a really cool beach walkway out in Sandbridge. I built a custom picnic table. You guys are going to get to see all of that. Those will be my next upcoming shorts. I believe my last one was finishing up the drawers. The next one's probably going to be starting the doors with the router table and everything else. Then we'll probably take a break to actually show off a really cool build. I built a custom round park bench. This one is custom because it's actually compact. It's 30 by 60. It's made of 1/2-inch plywood. The top is 3/4, but as you see, it expands. You can pull out probably about, I think, 18 inches on each side. So it goes from 60 inches to 96, almost about 8 foot. But I don't like pulling out that far. I typically only do 10 inches. I actually supported the stretchers with hardwood, which strengthens them. And you guys also get to see me build a picnic table too. So if you guys have wondered how to build one, I kind of go through the process and figuring it out. And yeah, hope you guys stick around, enjoy, and I appreciate all the growing support over the last year. Hope you guys enjoy the content, and hope you guys enjoy all the future content. Happy New Year's, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.